Right now, the sun is shining, warm, stable, predictable. The kind of ordinary that's so constant, so unrelenting in its consistency that you've completely stopped noticing it. You wake up and it's there. You go to sleep and it's been there all day. Every single day of your entire life. Every single day of every human life that has ever existed. We built calendars around it. We built religions around it. We built our entire biology around the assumption that it would always be there. But imagine, in a single instant, the sun doesn't explode, doesn't gradually dim, doesn't send a warning. It collapses. The entire mass of a star, a million Earths worth of matter, compressed into a point smaller than a city. The process takes less than a second, and when it's done, the result is something our universe allows but our minds struggle to accept. A black hole, sitting exactly where the sun used to be. Same gravity, same mass, but no light, no heat, no solar wind, no radiation. Just a dark, invisible wound in space, surrounded by silence. And here's the first thing that would happen. Absolutely nothing. At least, nothing you'd notice. Light travels fast, 300,000 kilometers per second, but space is vast, even within our own solar system. From the sun to Earth is roughly 150 million kilometers. That means light takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to make the journey. So for 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun collapses, Earth continues receiving sunlight exactly as normal. The sky is still bright. Shadows still fall the same way they always have. Birds still sing. Children still play outside. You might be sitting in a park, face tilted toward the sky, eyes closed, feeling the warmth on your skin, and the sun has already died. You're watching a ghost. You're feeling the warmth of something that no longer exists. Every photon landing on your skin left the sun before it collapsed, before the star that produced it ceased to be a star. You are experiencing a past that is already gone, and the universe simply hasn't had time to tell you yet. This is one of the strangest truths of physics. Reality doesn't update instantly. The universe has a delay. There is always a gap between what is happening and what we can observe. For us, that gap is 8 minutes. For someone on Mars, it would be longer. For someone on the edge of the solar system, longer still. We don't perceive the universe as it is. We perceive it as it was. And then the 8 minutes pass. The light stops. Not twilight, not a slow fade at the horizon, not the gentle darkening of evening. Instant darkness, absolute, total, simultaneous, across the entire planet, all at once. One moment there is sunlight, the next moment there isn't. No transition, no warning. Just the sudden, complete removal of the thing that has defined every day in Earth's 4.5 billion year history. The world goes dark. For a few moments, people wouldn't understand what was happening. Power grids would still be running. City lights would flicker on. People would look up at a sky full of stars, more stars than most people have ever seen in their lives because there's no longer any sunlight to drown them out, and they would be confused, scared, but not yet certain of what they were scared of. Scientists would know within minutes. The data would be unmistakable. Every solar observatory on Earth, every satellite pointed at the sun, every instrument measuring solar radiation, all of them would flatline simultaneously. Not a fluctuation, not an eclipse, a total, complete cessation. The sun's electromagnetic signature, which we've been monitoring continuously for decades, would simply stop. The calls would go out, the alerts would fire, and the news would spread, first as speculation, then as confirmation, that the sun was gone. And even then, even knowing the truth, the human mind would struggle to process it, because the sun has always been there. In every story ever told, in every myth ever written, in every morning that has ever existed, the sun has risen. The idea of a world without it doesn't live anywhere in our collective imagination. It is simply too large, too fundamental, too permanent a thing to lose. But it would be gone. And Earth would still be moving, still orbiting, still following its curved path through space at 30 kilometers per second, the same speed it has maintained for billions of years, because gravity doesn't disappear just because the sun collapsed. The black hole holds the same mass. The gravitational pull on Earth is identical to what it was moments before. So in terms of orbital mechanics, in the cold language of physics, nothing has changed. Earth is still in orbit. The planets are still in orbit. The solar system, structurally speaking, is still intact. But everything else, everything that actually matters for life, has been severed in a single moment. The first thing you'd feel, even before the cold truly sets in, is a strange psychological weight. Darkness at the wrong time is unsettling. Permanent darkness is something else entirely. There is no horizon to watch, no sense of time passing. The sky overhead is a field of stars, beautiful and cold and completely indifferent. The moon, if it's above the horizon, reflects no light, because there's no sunlight left to reflect. It becomes invisible. The familiar landmarks of the night sky remain, but without context, without the rhythm of day and night that gives them meaning, they feel alien, wrong, like furniture rearranged in a house you've lived in your whole life. Then the temperature begins to drop. Not immediately. The atmosphere holds heat, the ground holds heat, the oceans hold enormous amounts of heat. But the bleeding starts right away. Energy that was constantly being replenished by the sun is no longer being replenished. And the universe is cold. Space is cold. The moment you stop fighting the cold, it wins. Within the first day, temperatures in exposed areas begin to fall noticeably. Within a week, they are falling sharply. Within a month, even equatorial regions are experiencing temperatures that were previously only seen in the deep polar winters. Weather systems, which are fundamentally driven by the uneven heating of the Earth's surface by sunlight, begin to weaken and collapse. The great atmospheric circulation patterns that have governed weather for billions of years, the trade winds, the jet streams, the monsoon systems, all of them begin to falter. Storms fade. Winds slow. The sky becomes eerily still. Without the sun constantly pumping energy into the atmosphere, the engine of weather gradually shuts down. And now the biological collapse begins, quietly and without drama, at the very base of life itself. Plants cannot survive without photosynthesis. Photosynthesis cannot happen without light. The moment the light stopped, every plant on Earth began dying. Not dramatically, they don't wilt immediately, but the process is irreversible from the very first second of darkness. Grasses, crops, forests, phytoplankton in the oceans, every organism that converts sunlight into energy begins its countdown. The food chains that depend on those organisms begin to feel the strain almost immediately. Herbivores lose their food source. As herbivores decline, carnivores follow. The entire web of life, which took billions of years of evolution to build into its current complexity, begins to unravel from the bottom up. The oceans, which cover most of the planet's surface, respond differently to the cold than the land does. Water has an enormous capacity to store heat, far greater than air or soil, so the oceans don't freeze quickly. The surface cools. Ice begins forming at the poles and spreading outward, more aggressively than any ice age in Earth's history. But deep in the oceans, the temperature remains relatively stable for much longer. Hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, cracks in the Earth's crust where geothermal heat escapes, continue to produce warmth and chemical energy completely independent of the sun. Around these vents, ecosystems that were already thriving in total darkness would continue to survive. In a world without sunlight, the deep ocean would become one of the last genuinely habitable environments on Earth. Civilization, meanwhile, faces a collapse that is not instantaneous, but is nonetheless inevitable. The first wave is psychological, the sheer disorientation and panic of permanent darkness affecting billions of people simultaneously. The second wave is practical. Food production stops. Every agricultural system on Earth depends on sunlight, directly or indirectly. Stored food exists, and it buys time, but not much. Weeks for most communities, months at most for the well-prepared. Energy systems that depend on solar power fail immediately. Nuclear and fossil fuel systems continue functioning, but they depend on supply chains that depend on a functioning society that is simultaneously trying to manage a civilizational crisis unlike anything in human history. Transportation systems, communication networks, medical systems, all of them begin to strain under the weight of a world that is simultaneously freezing, starving, and in the dark. The breakdown doesn't come all at once. It comes in layers, each layer weakening the ones below it, until the structure that has supported billions of human lives for thousands of years quietly gives way. And while all of this is happening on Earth, something even more profound is unfolding across the entire solar system. The sun was never just a light source. It was the gravitational anchor, the energetic center, the defining physical presence of this entire region of space. Its magnetic field, the heliosphere, stretched far beyond the orbit of Neptune, forming a protective bubble that shielded the inner solar system from the most